is Johnny Wrestling, or Johnny Takeover, as my shirt says. And listen, I want you to listen. Like, we're involved right now. It's crazy. It's loud. It's hectic. We're in New York City. But I want you to listen to the No Holds Barred Network.
Enough is enough. They're always taking their sides.
Hey guys, welcome back to the No Holds Barred Network with another episode of Under the Ropes. I'm your host as always, the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, Tiffany. And I'm actually really excited about this interview with Dyln McKay. How are you?
How's it going? That's amazing. A very amazing intro, by the way. Love it.
My million nicknames I got going on over here. I know like everybody gets
More nicknames.
I have a million
nicknames
nicknames
than I have.
I don't know, like you maybe I don't know if I need to like limit it or like I don't know, maybe we'll get some with you, like we'll add some names as maybe you'll have another nickname by the end of the episode.
That's awesome. Hopefully.
I love it. So guys, if you're tuning in for the first time here, we interview everything independent wrestling. If it's wrestlers, promoters, referees, anything backstage, when it comes to independent wrestling, I want to know everything about it, and I want to get you guys involved as well. So I'm really excited about this interview with you because I know I've talked to you a little bit about this like before, and I get like really excited. Like I feel like it doesn't happen too often that I'll spot somebody and I'll keep talking about them. Like it's very different. Like I have a lot of favorite wrestlers, but I feel like I gotta compare it to Joey Silver, Sweet Cheeks. Again, I don't know if you're familiar with him, but I remember when I first saw him, I just kept talking about him. And
that's awesome.
Like I feel like that with you, and I felt like that I was like, this kid is going to be huge in independent wrestling, so I had to have you on. So
that's
I'm really
awesome.
excited.
Thank you so much. It means a lot.
No, it's great. I'm really excited to sit and chat with you. So so for you guys at home, if you guys are in the chat, you know, if you got questions, drop them. Let me know. We're gonna get to know him. So so let's start this all off because again, like I know you, but maybe some people know you, maybe some people don't know you, but by the end of this episode, I'm sure they're gonna know who you are. So let's start from the beginning. How did you get into professional wrestling?
I actually have a very unique. Most people will tell you that they just loved it as a kid and then they grew up and it was their dream, and I did like it as a kid. Like very young, like probably like 2009. And then when I was like went to middle school, or I guess I was in middle school at that time, but as I went on, like all throughout high school, I was not interested. I did not watch any professional wrestling. I did not do, you know, anything athletic, really. I did parkour. So I have that. That's unique. I didn't watch wrestling. But my dad knew professional wrestlers. He knew Drew Blood, if anyone knows who that is. He knew Devin Moore, and he knew Danny Havoc.
Wow.
And I just personally knew those guys. And I would go to the shows sometimes, and that's what really got me back into it, was going to those old CZW shows and watching them wrestle. And it was like, wow, this is really cool. And I thought I could do it because I was an athletic kid. And so I told Drew Blood, I was like, I want to train. I want to learn how to do this. And then when Matt Tremont opened up the school, Drew Blood messaged me. He said, go here, try it out. And I've been there ever since.
Wow. So that's going to be like an experience for you, you know, working with Matt Tremont. Like, you know, is that the exact like reason why like you decided to go after H2O and Matt Tremont because of the connection, or?
Yeah, because of the connection. I remember like I used to envision myself going to train at the CCW school, and I just don't feel like it would have turned out the same way.
Really?
Like what they're doing at H2O, the academy, it's a really it's a great experience. You know, I feel like every experience you hear with wrestlers training at schools, it's a horror story. They beat them up, they hurt them, it's just like a bad experience. But Matt and Preacher and all the trainers, it's a great experience. It's really inclusive, you know, of everyone. Whether you're athletic, whether you're not athletic, they help everyone.
Yeah, we talked to Matt when Matt came on Under the Ropes, and like he was just saying like I mean, I personally have to come down to the school because I need to. I have not been to an H2O show. I mean, I've watched it on IWTV a lot, you know, so I see a lot of my friends like have gone. It's just taking the drive over to there. Obviously, with the pandemic, you get a little more scared. But
Yeah.
like just the conversation that I had with Matt Tremont on the episode with him was just amazing, and like him even talking about how he never even turned away one of the kids that was autistic, and I just like truly appreciated that even more. That he was like, hey, he goes, I'm not going to turn anybody away, and so I mean. Maybe you could elaborate a little bit more of like your experiences with like Matt Tremont being like, you know, a trainer there for you.
It was really crazy because Matt Tremont was somebody that, you know, I watched growing up. He knew my dad, but it wasn't the same as those other guys. So I wasn't as close to him. So when I went to the school, it was still like meeting him and getting to know him. But yeah, it was really nostalgic. It was like, wow, this guy was, you know, he was awesome. I loved him when I was a kid. So once you got through that, though, you know, you got to work. You know, you go there, you're bumping, you're working. So it's not all like, you can't just bask in the moment forever. You gotta focus up and start training.
Absolutely. I could only like imagine. Like, so for somebody that's gonna like go train, like how long, you know, is like a training session? Like me, I don't know, right? Like I'm just a fan, right? So like how would like a daily routine for you be?
So they have classes. Well, right now it used to only be 2 times a week, but now we're up to 4 times a week, actually, which is crazy. So they usually start at around 7, and we'll go pretty late until like 10, 10:30, 11 o'clock. And as to it changes between all the trainers as to what we do. We have on Tuesday we have Preacher. He likes to do a lot of different things. He's all over the place. But it's really fun. And Wednesday is Keener. I haven't been to Keener's class, but I heard that he does a lot of cardio. He does a lot of running the ropes, drop down drills, stuff like that. Then Thursday used to be Matt Tremont, but now it's Mike Quest. He does a lot of basics, the fundamentals of wrestling. And Matt Tremont on Friday, who I heard that he's been doing a lot of the fundamentals and stuff too to help some of the newer students. Because now all of us, the students that have been there for a while and we're wrestling, we have a firm grasp on the fundamentals, and now we're finding ourselves, we're finding our own movesets. So a lot of the focus is on the newer kids,
Right.
and bringing them up and making them ready to wrestle.
Yeah, it's great. So we have a fan tweet from my friend Brad. He said back then, like growing up, we mainly had WWE and WCW to watch. I mean, we're a lot older than you know. But nowadays, like we have more options. Like we have Fight TV, we got IWTV, we got Power Slam. Like, so what were you mainly watching? Like when you were watching like wrestling, like were you watching a lot of these apps? Like, are you just like a big, you know, WWE person? Like, what are some of the stuff you like study?
So see, it was when I was really young, like when I was 9 or 10. So I was definitely only watching WWE. I didn't even know. I never thought about that IWTV and stuff was available to me when I was a kid. If I was a much bigger wrestling fan, I would have been into that. But no, I just watched WWE. I'd watch it with my dad, and then occasionally, you know, when I got a little older, I would go to the live shows. Or Drew Blood and Devin Moore would bring over their DVDs, and they'd get me to watch their matches with them and stuff. So that's all the wrestling I had was WWE. I watched a lot of that as a kid, and then I grew out of that. And then indie wrestling was like, whoa, this stuff is cool. I liked indie wrestling a lot more than TV wrestling.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel like nowadays. Like,
Even to this day, yeah.
yeah, I
I very much prefer independent wrestling.
there's so much. It's so hard to keep up with everything. So
I like the AEW product. I think they're
yes,
nice. WWE's of course doing their thing. They're, everywhere. It's just different flavors,
absolutely. That's the great thing about being a fan. If you don't like one thing, you can watch something else. So it's just a great thing. His second question made me laugh. So he said, "You've teamed up with Steve Sanders. Was this a coincidence when it comes to 90210?"
So that is crazy. Okay, so I love this. I love this already. Dyln McKay. How that came to be is my trainer, preacher. We knew I was ready to wrestle. We were like, we're gonna debut you, and we had no idea what to do for a name. And I didn't either. I'm not the most creative person ever. So when it comes to like the creativity of wrestling, I lack a little bit. But I was like, just come up with a cool name for me, and I'll take it. And he came up with Dyln McKay, and I was like, I just took it because I had no idea what it was.
Right.
Because I didn't know what 90210 was at the time. So I was like, yeah, Dyln McKay, that sounds really cool. So we went with it, and it turns out that he's what's his name? Luke Perry. Luke Perry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Rest in
Luke
peace,
Perry
yeah.
was the character, and then Steve Sanders. I didn't even know that. Like, but when we tagged that was another character. They were like best friends on the show.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That's crazy. And Steve, I love Steve.
Yes.
I love Steve so much. He's amazing. He's awesome. So yeah, Dyln McKay and Steve Sanders in real life, we're best friends for sure.
There you go. I love it. Like when we were talking about this, I was laughing and I was like, "Oh my god, this is like one of my favorite TV shows." That's like the funny thing. Like,
what did we tag at? We tagged that GCW. So maybe that wasn't Brett's brain. Maybe he was like, the 90210. It's too good.
it was.
I think Steve Sanders was like tweeting that our name was High 0210 because he's the he's the pothead.
Yeah. I love it. So you brought up GCW. You've made a lot of moves this year. Well, in 2020. So, but you got to work GCW, the collective. Like you've been making some moves. That's why I say like I've been excited for you. So, can you give us like a little bit like your experiences, like going from H2O and getting these experiences, even the collective. Like it's just huge.
It's hard for me to grasp because this is just what I had, and compared to what other people got earlier on, it's very like this is a big thing for them. But for me, this is just what happened. H2O, like starting in H2O was already a blessing because this is not like, I used to think it was like a little company or whatever. But the more you go, like we stream all of our shows live. This is a big deal. Like H2O is not a small company by any means. So then, I don't even remember the full story, but working H2O and having the opportunity to be on IWTV, and people were already seeing things for me at H2O. And then I remember Matt pulled me aside one day, and he was like, I knew what GCW was. See, so it's kind of a joke at my wrestling school that I still don't watch wrestling to this day. I know that's gonna shake people the wrong way, but once I got out of it in high school. I don't know a lot about independent wrestling. I don't know a lot about TV wrestling because I need to get back into it, but I don't watch a lot of it. So I knew what GCW was, and I knew that was a big deal. And Matt pulled me aside, and he was like, they want to bring you in for the Scramble. It's in Indianapolis. Jimmy Lloyd offered to drive me up. And I've just been taking everything that I can get, working everywhere I can. I think that's the beauty of independent wrestling, is just anywhere you want to go. Any company that wants to bring you in, you can do it, and it's just more eyes on me, and I love it. GCW was so much fun. It was a big opportunity. My Twitter followers, like, I had like 60 followers on Twitter, and then I like had 290 after that GCW match. It was crazy.
Yeah. See? See? That's what I'm saying. And like I knew of you like before the fact, like to watch you in the scramble. And the scramble is like one of my favorite things when it comes to GCW. Like I love a lot of it. And you know, I'm sure like you're familiar with Alex Zane and Blake Christian, and like I mean these are guys
so awesome.
So like to see you like come into the collective, and it was just amazing. So
yeah, the collective was a whole different experience. I forgot to even talk about that. Just wrestling in front of that many people, and it was limited because of COVID. That's the crazy thing. How many people would have actually been at that event if it wasn't for the pandemic? But like I remember looking out the curtain before the clusterfuck. Are we allowed to curse on here?
Yes, you're good. You're good.
It was like wow, there were so many people here. I had never performed in front of that many people, let alone the amount of people watching on WTV. So it was awesome to wrestle for Joey Janela's show. That was crazy.
Did you get like butterflies, like to like be like walking out with this?
I was so very nervous. So nervous, yes, so nervous.
But
that was the most nervous I've ever been in my life.
But it had to be like like the minute like you step in the ring, it just like goes away, right? Like that feeling.
Yeah, as soon as you're out, and you're like, okay, well now I gotta perform. Like you're not thinking about the moment anymore. You're thinking about what you have to do. Right. So you're kind of distracted.
Right. I gotta make it to like the collective. I was like, this is something that I just love so much. That the collective's so important, and I would have loved to been there if the pandemic wasn't going. So hopefully this year, maybe we'll like have it again, and maybe we can go. Hopefully things get a little bit better. So, but that
would be great.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hopefully this thing ends soon. Man, it's been rough.
I know. Okay, so we got a fan tweet from MGB Mason. He said, just saw the amazing clip of you doing a shooting star press off the balcony at H2O. Can you tell us what was it like leading up to, during, and after the move? And you're crazy because like, to like watch, I'm like, oh my God, like the female instinct like kicks in. Like you guys are crazy. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this.
So yeah, that moment meant a lot to me. I don't even know where to start with this. There are so many layers to that moment. It was just so going to that match for the last extravaganza, biggest show we've ever had, right? There were so many people there, and it was all for such the great cause of remembering Danny Havoc. So I knew I wanted to do something huge. I asked Matt if I could use the scaffold, and he told me that I could. So I knew that the shooting star was coming off of it. I had to do it. Just for the moment, you know, like there's no better show to do it at, right? There's so many people watching. I had to get it done. And so when I was on top of the scaffold, I wanted to, you know, it was hard because, like I said, my dad, you know, I grew up with Drew Blood, Devin Moore, and Grant, Danny Havoc. I knew him personally, so it was kind of hard to be up there with that banner. It made me tear up. So it was a crazy moment because I was very emotional. I knew that I had to throw myself off of the scaffold, which was very dangerous for me. And my good friend Austin Luke was at the bottom. I had to keep him safe. It was a lot on my brain, but I got it. I kept him safe. I hurt myself in the process, but it was worth it in my opinion.
It was great. It was just an amazing match. That whole pay-per-view, as I want to call it, like was a lot, and I could again, like I said, I could only imagine the emotions of it, like you felt during it. But
I knew it was bound to happen at some point, whether
God.
It was after the match or before the match. I was gonna cry.
Oh God, is there gonna be like a lot more repeats of the scaffold like going forward? Like...
I hope so, because I'll use it every time. I'll do something crazy off it every time.
Oh Lord. Well, there you go, guys. But let's talk a little bit more about the last extravaganza, because it really was like the 2 days was a great, you know, show to watch.
Crazy.
And,
it was crazy.
It was a lot, and to see a lot of people like that. We know we've had a lot of people on Under the Ropes. I mean, even like Brandon Kirk, and it's been really, really great, you know, to watch this. But, you know, like what were your thoughts, and like what was going through your head with Matt retiring? Like it had, like, I'm sure everybody's got a different feeling for it. So like, what did it mean for you to?
That's a great question, actually. A lot of people in this school, you know, there are some people who talk with Matt more than others. I'm one of the kids that stayed late. I would chat with Matt all the time. So knowing Matt on a personal level and just knowing how the retirement is gonna affect him and everything, it was rough, you know, like just. It was a great moment. I think it got IWTV's moment of the year. So that was really cool. But just having to, like, you know, training with him and knowing that retirement is unfortunate. You know, it wasn't like I'm gonna retire and I'm gonna be happy about it. You know, it has a negative kind of tone too. Like you want to wrestle,
Right.
and I'm sure he does. But you know, just for the betterment of him, I'm happy for him, and if he ever does feel like he wants to wrestle again, then I feel bad. But I don't know. I'm very split on whether we've seen the end of Matt Tremont or not. We'll see.
I feel like a lot of wrestlers say that they're retired, but that they always come back out of retirement and to see like.
I know he really needed it though.
Yeah.
His body has taken a lot of damage.
Yeah. Like
So
watching.
it's good for him to rest up. He needed it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad. Like, and I feel so blessed and honored to like sit and watch him so many years in the independent world, to watch him wrestle like live at shows at like ICW and Synergy. I mean, I've seen him all over the place live.
Yeah.
So I wish I would have went to that show. It was something I was contemplating, but again, I was still a little worried with the pandemic going on. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just support from home and
Completely understandable,
you know,
yeah.
but like I can only imagine even like fans that are fans of the podcast like telling me like how amazing this experience was. So you know.
Yeah, I'm sure being a lifelong fan of Matt Tremont, it was kind of like a crazy moment for them too. But I remember the emotions were real.
Yeah.
That speech that he gave after about Grant, and it was just there was a lot of feelings to be had.
It was. Oh man. All right, so let's move on to the next fan tweet that I just can't wait to see your answer for this. It's from our Good Cop, Bad Cop podcast. They said, Tiffany, you made this very difficult this week, but with McKay being an anagram of McKay, what is slang term for someone who can complete the Rubiks Cube in under 15 seconds? And have you ever completed the Rubiks Cube? And if so, how long did it take? And it's so funny because, like, I went to the store yesterday and I actually saw one and I bust out laughing because I thought of this fan tweet. So I was like, oh, Lord.
Goofy, yeah. That is a goofy question. So I haven't seen a Rubik's Cube since I was a kid. And I never could figure them out. But oddly enough, I knew someone who could. It was I used to live in like Riverside, New Jersey. And this kid named Upton that I knew, he could solve a Rubik's Cube really fast. And the fact that he could do it and I couldn't bothered me a little bit. So I was like, there has to be a gimmick here. There has to be a reason that he can do it. And I learned that there's some type of algorithm to solve it. Like whatever color is in the bottom right of the Rubik's Cube is the next move you have to make. But that's as much as I know about a Rubik's Cube.
I didn't even know that. Interesting. It's one of those things that I feel like I would pull the stickers off and like put them in the right place.
I used to do that as a kid. I ruined a bunch of Rubik's Cubes, yeah.
I think everybody's done that.
It was just like when you were a kid, you got this toy and you're like, this is not a toy I want to play with. I'd rather play with other things.
I can't.
I wasn't interested in Rubik's Cubes.
I love it.
But it's definitely cool when people can do it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
good for them.
And to see it like done fast. But I remember like I think when birthday parties and you would get like gifts to go home, like they used to have like the little ones too. So like, oh, I can't. The worst. Like I hate those things.
Yeah, you get a Rubik's Cube, you're like, man, this is lame.
Now I feel like this has to be part of the podcast now. Like I have to get one and like during my podcast I have to like play with it. Like thanks a lot, Good Cop, Bad Cop. So, Kyle's in the chat. Kyle's part of my co-host on Ollie podcast. He said, include light tubes in all your matches and Tiff will love you for life.
Ooh, you know, that's a good one. So I have a very mixed I have mixed feelings when it comes to death matches because I feel like I don't know, it's not expected of H2O students. I don't want to say that, but you know, we come from the hardcore hustle organization. Mm-hmm. I definitely have done hardcore matches in the past, but when it comes to things that stab you and make you bleed, I don't think that I'm the guy. I don't know if I'll ever do any death matches.
No? Not
I guess
even,
we'll see. We'll see.
Not even one?
You know, I was thinking maybe one if it meant
Something, right?
you know, if it meant a lot. It meant a lot. Or maybe with Steve.
With Steve? I was gonna ask you, like, if, like, off the top of your head, like, if you were gonna have your dream death match, right? Dream death match. Let's just go with this. Who would your dream death match be with?
That's a good question. I feel like there's a couple trains. There's a couple trains of thought. I feel like I couldn't keep up, but imagine the moment of wrestling Matt in a death match. That would be a huge moment.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be big for your career, and that'd just be big emotionally for me too.
Yeah.
But when it comes to, I don't know who would I even do a death match with.
I would think you would want to do it with Matt.
The only person.
Yeah.
With Matt. Matt would be probably one of the only people.
I feel like
you know,
everybody feels
my
that.
good friends.
Yeah.
I have two good friends at the school, Marcus Mathers and Austin Luke. You know, I trust them very much. I wouldn't mind doing very hardcore things with them, but you know, they're just personally, I'm very skeeved out by that. Like even getting needles as an adult.
Yeah.
Skeeves me out a lot. I'm very skeeved by things going in my skin.
I can't watch that stuff. It's like I have to turn my head. Like I love light tubes. I'm like obsessed with it. I don't know. It's just
light
something.
Tubes are a great effect.
They are great. It's the spooky dust, as a lot of us call it, and it's just like the sound. It's everything. I get like really excited.
The explosion,
about it.
yeah.
It's just so I laugh. Like I don't know, but like certain things, like I get really nervous about. So maybe if it's like a little bit of a limit of a death match, like maybe you would consider it, but I would really think that you would want to do it, Matt. And I know a lot of people always say, like, if you ask them if you were going to do a death match, who would the death match be with? And a lot of people say Matt Tremont, that they feel like, okay, like here's the man who's done death matches and he's the safest, and you know, you would feel the most comfortable with.
I would definitely feel the most comfortable in there with Matt. You know, nobody's more experienced, and his intentions would not be to murder me as well, so it'd be good.
No. Okay, so Kyle's next question is chat, and it's funny because I could kind of elaborate a little bit off of this. He says, would you ever go to the Young Lions route in New Japan?
You know, okay, so that's one aspect of wrestling that I know nothing about, is Japan. But I know it's huge, and I know that that's like everyone's goal. I'm glad that I got to see Danny Havoc go there when I did, because that was like big. Hearing about all of them going, and Matt going, and Jimmy Lloyd going, and all these people that I know going to Japan, it was really cool. So I definitely want to do that. I would be so down to go to Japan. That is now became a dream of mine, as something that I had no idea what it was before. Getting into wrestling and hearing about it, and just seeing how insanely talented everyone is down there. Nuts.
I'm sure, like, as time goes, again, that, like, you'll see, like, maybe there are places, like, you would love to travel to. So, I mean, so I was going to kind of elaborate with that, but, like, are there any goals, like, that you can think of? And, again, like, I know, like, you're still new to the business. Like, are there places you would like to, you know, promotions you might want to go to or to travel to? Like, would Mexico be somewhere you would love to wrestle at one time? Like, you know, go to England and, you know, maybe like train, or like, is that like thought process in your head one day?
I never particularly thought that I would love to travel there and wrestle, but of course, like, if the opportunity arises, I would not think twice. That would be amazing. And I love the local promotions that we have here, like even you know, H2O and GCW is it's big enough for me right now. I doubt I'll ever outgrow it. So, but yeah, if I ever get the opportunity and they're like, hey, you would come down to Mexico and train, wrestle, I would absolutely do that. I think they work the opposite side. Mm-hmm. I think you would have to learn how to wrestle with your left arm. Or with your right arm, which is very different. They do everything the other way there.
I love it.
I think so. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know. If you're in the chat, let us know, because I don't know. So I want to talk a little bit about, like, your most recent match. You worked with G Raver. Like, how was that? Like, that had to be really cool.
That was really cool. So G Raver wasn't someone I saw growing up, but I watched him a lot, like, in that window of training before I debuted and became a wrestler, I saw a lot of G Raver matches, and he was always one of the best guys at H2O in my opinion. So yeah, when I found out that I was gonna work him, Austin and Mark already had worked him. So those matches were amazing. So I was very excited to get in there with him, you know, and it was a very fun match. He's very awesome. Yeah, working with him was amazing. Love G Raver.
That's cool. Ray said in the chat, he goes, lucha style is the opposite. So there's
lucha style is the opposite. Yeah. So you know there'd be a learning process there because it's very different. So I would definitely have to go and train for a while before wrestling anyone.
Pretty interesting. Dockin in the chat says, what former hardcore wrestler you wish you could wrestle with?
You know, of course, I think it would have to be Danny Havoc, Grant. You know, he meant a lot to me as a kid, and his passing hit me really hard. And you know, my dad knew he knew Drew Blood, he knew Devin Moore, and he knew Grant. I wrestled Drew Blood, I wrestled Devin Moore. I never got the opportunity, so that would absolutely be the answer to that one.
Cool. What's the best piece of advice that was given to you that sticks out the most?
That's a good question. That is a really good question. I think well, the advice that I get is you know, don't bump on your neck and don't jump off that scaffold, but I always don't listen to those. So maybe just I feel like the ego part of wrestling is a really important thing, and that's a big talk at our school, is just you know, to be a good person. A lot of wrestlers, or you hear stories of wrestlers that become very gloated and egotistic, and at H2O we talk about that a lot. You know,
That's great.
Be humble,
Yes.
be a good person.
I love that. Like, being humble, like, is always like one thing that I always stick with. So who's been your favorite to work with in ring so far?
That is a great question. I've had the honor of having so many good matches with so many good wrestlers. Maybe Steve Sanders, Jimmy Lloyd, love him. I feel like every time I wrestle these guys, it's going to be something to see.
Awesome. So who's the dream opponent?
You know, that's another good question. I'm so out of the loop when it comes to wrestling. My dream opponent. Yeah, and I get asked this a lot, and I never know the answer.
It's got to change though too. Like, I would assume, like, as time goes, it would change.
Because I have, like, realistic people I want to wrestle.
Right.
Like, I don't want to call it the dream because everybody expects some huge answer, like John Cena. Like, it would be my dream to wrestle John Cena. But, like, I always just think realistically who I would love to wrestle in the future.
Right.
Maybe, like, you know, the only wrestler I remember, I liked 3 wrestlers when I was a kid, like, heavily. And it was Jeff Hardy, of course, CM Punk, and Triple H. So I feel like working any of those guys would be like a dream come true. But, you know, it's now I gotta think out of that, probably Jeff Hardy. Just because I feel stylistically we're very similar. We do insane things.
Yeah, you guys are crazy. That's funny. Our friend Cody jumped in the chat. He goes, jump off that scaffold. See scaffold at last extravaganza. Dyln, wee! That's what he wrote.
Yeah, I would jump off that scaffold 10 times out of 10.
Oh, man. I don't know. Like, so, okay. So, like, I know it's early, but, like, what are, like, some of your end goals? Like, because I know, like, this was asked for me to ask you, like, where do you see yourself, like, in the end? Like, is it independent wrestling that you want to, like, just stick around doing? Is, like, you're, like, very content, like, H2O? Do you want to, like, go eventually to AEW or something, or WWE, or, like, Impact? Like, is there in your head somewhere?
That's I love that. So I'm very, as of right now, I'm young. I probably should look ahead and think about the things that I want to do in the future, but it all just seems, and I know this is, like, it all seems very unlikely when you first get into it. Like
Right.
when you become a wrestler, you're like, of course I would love to be signed, but is it gonna happen? So I'm very content with what I'm doing, H2O, GCW, and all the other local promotions. And I'll always be at H2O until, you know, until that does happen, whether it's a contract or whether until I get so old that I need to stop wrestling. But yeah, if I ever get offered anything, you know, I'm a big fan of the AEW product. I think they're doing really cool stuff. I love NXT. They're doing crazy things. WWE, I feel like that product is very different from what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard for me to envision myself there. But, you know, I mean, of course, if that opportunity ever arises, like look at Alex Zane.
Yeah. Never say never, right? Because, like, you don't know. But usually, like, a lot of people always say, like, WWE is the end goal. And, like, yeah, we have a lot of opportunity. And maybe some people are just happy staying in the independent scene. And then there's nothing wrong with that. And that's fine. I mean, I'm biased. I want everybody to stay in the independent scene because I just love going to the independent scene and seeing it live. You know,
good feeling.
But you know, again, like, you know, maybe this is like a goal for you that, like, you're like, oh, you know, well, maybe this is somewhere I want to go in the end. So
if I was to see myself wrestling somewhere, I would love for it to be NXT or AEW. Impact's cool too. They have a lot of good stuff going on there. I don't want to. I just saw a bunch of people make the move to Impact. Like, I think Casey Navarro went over there.
Yes.
Ace Austin. I got to work with him in the Scramble. He's awesome. Yeah, you know, anywhere, I'm down.
Or I'm down for like a one-on-one with you and like Ace Austin or you and Blake Christian. Like, I want to see some flips. I want to see some crazy.
And that's when you brought up dream matches. That's like what my mind immediately went to, was these realistic matches that probably are gonna happen one day. So
yes, and I'm all here for it. I'm all
Hopefully.
here for it. Yes, no, definitely. Like, guys, like, I'm telling you, get on the train. Like, you know, I told you guys, like, I like to bring on people that catch me, and Dyln is someone, like I said, he's still new, and there's still like a lot that I feel like we're gonna see you a lot more in the future. So, you know, like, I wish the best for you on that. You know, but
thanks.
it's great. So let me ask you this one last question. If you guys have any more questions in the chat, drop them. So. Oh, Ray's in the chat, so let me ask you this before I go into my question. Ray goes, as another youngin in wrestling, how about a match down the line?
And who is this?
This is Ray. He usually does Under the Ropes with me. He's going back to training, too. So he's in the chat, Ray Ramundo. So he
wants me to wrestle him?
Yes. It's funny, he was on a lot of these podcasts with me, and he always asks the wrestlers on the interviews if he's like, let's have a match going on. So
I mean, yeah.
He's like, let's just do it. He's like, I don't know you, but let's just do it.
That's funny.
Too funny. Okay, so to finish off my last question, so what's like, you know, to all inspiring amateur wrestlers out there, I mean, even you included, but what's like a little piece of advice that, you know, you would give somebody that's maybe looking to, you know, go into wrestling?
So yeah, I remember how it was, like, wanting to be a wrestler. It was like really hard to know where to go or know how it was going to be. It's really nervous, like the really nervous feeling of like, and if you do find a wrestling school, you're like, how is this going to go? You know, I heard stories that it's not good. But advice for people, I mean, just do it. Like, just try it out. Like, I feel like the thing people do the most is they want to be a wrestler, but they never go.
Right.
They think about it and they come to terms with it, but they never go. Like, oh, scheduling is going to be hard. Oh, this is going to be rigorous exercise. I'm going to get hurt. And it's going to be all those things. But, you know, if it's your dream, then do it.
That's great. It's like, was it Nike? Just do it.
Just do it. Get in there, you know? You're never going to know. Until you do it.
Definitely, right? It's just like, I feel like that's anything in life. Like, just follow your heart and just do it. Actually, Dockin is in the chat. He asks, what is your favorite championship belt that you want to win in the future? That's actually a really good question.
So on an independent level, you know, I'm at H2O. You know, my buddies just won the tag champions. I think my favorite division is the hybrid division. I want that hybrid belt. And, you know, maybe Dyln McKay will be the hybrid champion at some point.
Oh, man.
H2O.
Putting people on notice right now.
Yeah, make it happen. Give me a shot.
Oh, man. So what do you have coming up? Like, tell everybody, like, do you have any matches coming up? Like, what's going on in H2O? Like, if they're going to watch.
H2O is having this double header show January 23rd, I believe. So that looks like it's big news. I'm unfortunately not going to be on it. I'm going to be away. But, you know, always support what H2O does. I think their product is amazing. But the next thing for me, let me just fact check this date.
Sure.
The next thing for me is you know who Sean Henderson is?
Yes.
So he's been running his own shows. January 23rd. It's a double header, so there's going to be an afternoon show and a night show.
Awesome.
So that's going to be big for them. But yeah, the next thing for me is Sean Henderson's big show is his like WrestleMania. It's Weekend at Sean's. It's another double header weekend. And I'm wrestling Demorest.
Okay. I've heard the name before. Yes.
Is a bit of a legend, honestly. Love Demorest. You just need to pull up some clips of the stuff he used to do. He was a backyard wrestler. But Weekend at Sean's, February 5th.
Awesome.
You know, we have G Raver and Too Cold Scorpio wrestling on that show, which is crazy.
Very crazy.
So night one, it's me versus Demorest. That match is going to be really flippy, very crazy. There's going to be a lot of doors. It's going to be insane.
Oh, boy.
And then night two is me versus Boomer Hatfield, which should be a fun one.
Fun. Is this going to be on IWTV?
I hope so. I think he's looking into that. I hope that happens because I feel like these matches are big. There's a lot, dude. G Raver versus Scorpio on IWTV.
Man.
People are gonna watch that, and then it's Lucky 13 versus Too Cold Scorpio the next day.
Oh, I love Lucky 13.
I love Lucky. He's another person that it was the best to be in the ring with was Lucky. He made such a good match so easy. I remember I used to work myself so hard. Like I used to get blown up. I used to be out of breath and then he just structured this match, and it was perfect. It was like we did a bunch of things, but I was never tired.
He's great. I've had him on Under the Ropes too. Like he's just a great person. It's like every time I see him, he gives me like this huge hug. I love seeing him all over. He's great, and it was just. I think he was episode 13 on Under the Ropes, guys. It just happened that way. So go check that interview out if you guys want to learn a little bit about Lucky 13 if you haven't already. So
awesome.
But that's great. So. But yeah, so I think that's gonna like conclude everything. So tell everybody where they can find you, like on social. Like I have your links in the description, but just let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, my socials are. I'm pretty sure they're all at the Dyln McKay. I have Twitter, I have Instagram, and yeah, hopefully everyone will be seeing more of me in the future.
Yes. So I love to see that. So like again, I wish you the best of luck. I'm so glad that we got to sit here and chat, learn a little bit more about you, and like hopefully later down the line, like we can have you come back and you can give me like an update. You can be like, Tiff, I had my first death match. Like I know we talked about this. Like I wasn't gonna do it, but I had my first death match. So we can talk about things like that.
We will see. I know there's this hardcore tournament coming up for the students in February. I don't know what that entails as of now, but maybe there will be some bleeding going on in that for me. Who knows?
Oh, I guess we'll see. Stay tuned, guys. Again, like make sure you follow like IWTV and like subscribe to that because that's where like you see like a lot of H2O shows. It's worth it. It's fun, and you know if you like light tubes like me, you'll see stuff like that happen too.
A lot of there's a lot of light tubes.
Yeah, a lot of light tubes. I love it. So, but guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it was great, like chatting with Dyln here. So, I guess stay humble, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.